No fear. No political correctness. No wokeism. You're listening to Underground USA.
Thanks for downloading, listening, and sharing. My name is Frank Salvato, and you're spending a few moments in Underground USA. Maybe it's because what I've been screaming for the last 20 years is finally being heard. The overnight show I'm on is broadcast on Salem affiliate stations. Or maybe not. But the notion that the Speaker of the House mentioned litigation regarding the Democrats' abandonment of their primary election-sanctioned nominee is a hopeful development. In a recent article, Alinsky Rule Number 4, Make the Enemy Live Up to Its Own Book of Rules, I asked, where are the attorneys of the conservative movement? Shouldn't they be filing a litany of lawsuits on behalf of the disenfranchised Democrat voters, seeking to force the DNC to have fidelity to their own party rules? House Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican of Louisiana, touched on this very thought immediately after the announcement by the White House, and we still haven't heard directly from Joe Biden, that Mr. Biden was standing down from the Democrat Party's nomination for president in the 2024 election. As reported by Emily Hallis of the Washington Examiner,
during an interview Sunday morning with CNN's State of the Union, Johnson gave his assessment of the Democrats' chances to do a last-minute switch at the top of the presidential ballot. The Republican speaker noted that Democrats are facing a real problem because every state has their own election system, making it difficult for Democrats to end Biden's bid for a second term. Johnson says Democrats should expect legal hurdles from states because Joe Biden was chosen after a long democratic process by 14 million people. Indeed,
Biden himself, while flailing for political survival, claimed as much in a letter to Democrats before he received the knives in the back, saying, "I received over 14 million votes, 87% of the votes cast across the entire nominating process. The voters of the Democratic Party have voted. They've chosen me to be the nominee of the party. Do we now just say this process doesn't matter? That the voters don't have a say?" Once again, the Democrats themselves, this time in Biden's own words, have delivered a potent game plan to Republicans that will keep the left in chaos well into the convention if Republicans can get out of their own way. It epitomizes Alinsky Rule Number 4, Make the Enemy Live Up to Its Own Book of Rules. This segues into another of Alinsky's rules, one that must be utilized to the fullest and through the general election in November. Rule Number 8, Keep the pressure on. In keeping the pressure on, Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, Constitution-loving independents, and real Democrats have a variety of tools and issues at their disposal to achieve the goal. The goal being the keeping of the radically Marxist left that has hijacked the Democrat Party in disorganized chaos through the general election. The first arrow in the quiver should be a litany of lawsuits on behalf of disenfranchised Democrat primary election voters claiming a breach of contract by the Democrat National Committee in their unilateral move to force Joe Biden from the ticket. Taking a page from the progressive, read neo-Bolshevik playbook, Republicans and conservative lawyers should shop for federal courts and judges in multiple jurisdictions to achieve injunctions that will force the DNC to abide by their established nomination process. This would keep the various camps within the Democrat Party hierarchy from being able to coalesce behind one prospective candidate to introduce in Kamala Harris's place at the open convention. The second arrow in the quiver comes in the form of narrative control, which Republicans and conservatives have an opportunity to exploit for once. The overarching question is not who will be at the top of the Democrat ticket, but who is actually running the Democrat presidency as we speak, and who has been the puppet master for the last 3+ years? That question must be hammered home again and again and again until it's dripping off the lips of even the most disinterested party. We, the voters, actually have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to blow the gates of the deep state wide open, to expose the corrupt inner workings of Washington, D.C., the deep state, the uniparty, and the big money lobbyists' substratum. Who is or are the puppet masters? Who is actually running the Democrat administration at the federal level? Hammer, hammer, hammer. The third arrow in the keep the pressure on quiver comes in two more questions. How long have the far-left puppet masters been orchestrating the big lie against the American people? And how could anyone vote for a cabal as dishonest and opportunistically self-serving in this type of subterfuge? The issues in the 2024 election were bad enough for far-left Democrats. Their only platform plank is Orange Man bad. They have no accomplishments to speak of. Their policies have left the country and her people less safe and poorer. And the all-important undecided voter demographic is awakening to being pissed off about it. But the one galvanizing point that is seeding anger in the electorate is that the far left and the Democrat Party leadership have bald-faced lied to not only their own base, but to the whole of the electorate. And the far left and Democrat leadership could care less that they have been exposed for their deceit. Republicans and conservatives have to remind the electorate each and every day that the puppet masters of the far left believe them to be intellectually inferior and unworthy, and in fact incapable of understanding the truth. That their agenda is and always has been a quest for totalitarian power seated in a centralized Politburo-style government. The electorate needs to be reminded of this each and every single day. The right side of the aisle has been miserably delinquent in utilizing the tried and true tools that are Alinsky's rules against their opponents. For whatever reason, Republicans and conservatives have chosen, instead, to die on the hill of political morality, even as their opponents on the far left, the Marxist left, have abandoned any notion of playing by any moral code but the code of moral relativism. The ends justifies the means. But just like the American Revolutionary War patriots, who refused to line up in well-defined rows across from better-trained and equipped British soldiers only to be mowed down, patriots who tantamount to invented contemporary guerrilla warfare in their defeat of the King's Army, Republicans and conservatives must finally come to the conclusion that the political version of Marquess of Queensberry rules doesn't and can't apply. By the hand of God or the fickle finger of fate, whichever you prefer, the progressive neo-Bolsheviks who had been sprinting towards the goal line of fundamental transformation, republic-loving America 20 yards behind, has stumbled into a hard and possibly debilitating faceplant on the 5-yard line, fumbling the ball. In a failed assassination attempt against Donald Trump and the mental and possibly physical incapacitation of Joe Biden, Constitution-loving Americans have an opportunity to not only pick up the ball, but to reverse the fortunes of political confrontation and the destruction the far left has wreaked on our nation ever since the Obama genie escaped the Chicago political bottle. But to do so, we have to get our hands dirty. My fellow Americans, it's time to play in the mud. When I come back, our America's Third Watch segment on our flagship station, WGUL AM 860 and FM 93.7 in Tampa, Florida.
You're You're listening to Underground USA.
They're funding abortions, demanding Americans comply with their woke climate agenda. They teach people that the U.S. is a system of white supremacy while stripping away your Second Amendment rights. A California Democrat? No. It's Bank of America under CEO Brian Moynihan. There's enough people pushing political agendas in America. Your bank shouldn't be one of them. Bank of America. Their lies start with their name.
Who helped cause soaring gas prices? BlackRock. Who contributed to outrageous housing prices? BlackRock. BlackRock and Larry Fink spent years harassing oil and gas companies, making them divest from fossil fuels. Now you feel the pain. And BlackRock-owned companies are snatching up houses, crippling families. Now BlackRock's former ESG czar, Brian Deese, is Biden's economic advisor, crushing America from within. That's what BlackRock is really about.
News, insight, passion. AM 930, The Answer.
All right. Well, Frank, I'm telling you, a week ago we were reeling from the aftermath of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. This week, we've got the dropping out. Now, it's not, completely unexpected, but certainly now that it evidently has happened, this is quite a development, wouldn't you say?
You mean the ideological assassination of Joe Biden?
Well, how this all occurred, one can only wonder, and especially since we got this sort of weird letter that was just posted on social media. This is it's very unorthodox, but everybody's been reacting to it today as if it was true. Kamala Harris, of course, now they're pushing her to be president. They've already changed the name of the Biden for president, basically to Harris for president, very quickly.
Yeah, well, it's going to move quickly. I don't doubt that this is actually happening, because otherwise that would make Barack Obama and the Clintons look stupid. They don't like looking stupid. So right. when they came out and said, we endorse Kamala Harris, or as Barack Obama said, thank you very much, Joe, let's see what happens at the convention, that's validation enough for me. Biden hasn't been seen because he always goes into hiding for about 4 days before he's got a major speech to give, and the last major speech he's going to give is explaining why he's bowing out. So it's the formula is it's status quo for that. I'm not shocked by not seeing him. He's got to prepare for his dramatic exit. Right. He's not going to go without saying what he wants to say. That's the scary part. So later on this week should be interesting to hear what he has to say. I'm sure it will be conciliatory and meant to bring Democrats under the same umbrella. But boy, the chaos that has been afforded this comedy of errors in the Democrat Party is, you couldn't ask for a better gift if you're in the Trump campaign or the right hand side of the aisle.
Well, one of the things that I'm sure people are thinking about is, okay, now they're going to have a new sense of energy, whether it's Harris or what. But to a great degree, though, Frank, and Trump had sort of addressed this prior to this happening, basically saying, look, the policies are the same. We're still going to move forward with what we're all about. And I do think Americans are kind of fed up with what's been happening of late. So does it really change the game that much, other than okay, now we have a new candidate, but it's the same old, it's meet the new boss, same as the old boss kind of thing.
Well, this is why we all have to start talking about the fact that it's the people behind the figurehead that matter and not the figurehead itself. Or if Joe Biden has been so cognitively declined that they abandoned the candidate that 14 million Democrat voters chose to be their candidate in 2024, they've validated the idea that he's not running the show. So who's running the show? That's whoever's running the Biden administration is responsible for the policies, but they've also added something here. And this is the damaging part for the Democrats that I don't think they'll be able to recover from. They added a campaign issue that they have to overcome their dishonesty with their own voters and the American people.
Right.
They've been lying for 3.5 years, if not longer. And this move to remove the person 14 million Democrats voted for to run in 2024, it validates the idea that they were lying. They're admitting it. Okay, we lied. He got too bad. We had to get rid of him. And we're willing to throw your voice under the bus to make sure that we can continue to maintain power. If I'm Democrats, if I'm a Democrat rank and file voter, I'm not showing up at the polls, and I've seriously got to think about why I shouldn't become an independent. Because their political party purposely and overtly deceived them, and they're admitting that they did. And oh, by the way, your vote doesn't matter. We're going to select whoever we want at the convention.
That's right, because it's all about us. It's not about you, the voter.
It's absolutely not about democracy either. So we see who the true threat to democracy actually is. And make no mistake, this was a power play that came out of Chicago.
The Trump campaign's actually put out a thing called, Inspiring Thoughts by Kamala Harris. It's really quite funny where they have a little compilation of stuff that she said over the years here. And the term word salad has now been applied to her. And I just can't imagine. What is this campaign even going to look like now with her out there in the trail? She was a terrible campaigner to begin with.
Yeah, she's a festival of word salad. They will tightly control what she says and what she doesn't, and she will be on prompter 24/7. But this raises the other question. If Barack Obama refused to endorse her, there's a power struggle happening at the highest levels of the Democrat Party to see who the capo tutti capo is going to be. Have we turned the page from the Clintons and now we're into the Obama era of the Democratic Godfather? Or are they still struggling against one another? Or is Hillary going to get anointed? Barack Obama said he's not endorsing. He would love to see an open convention, and that means anyone can get that nomination. Biden, if he's released his delegates already, they're up for grabs, or they go to Harris, pretty much automatically, unless that happens, an open convention happens in Chicago, and they can install anybody. We already know that Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer have both said they will not run on a Harris-led ticket. Mm-hmm. That doesn't necessarily mean they won't vie for the presidential nomination themselves. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a very interesting convention, because with all the vulnerabilities that are out there with Harris on the top of this ticket, I just don't see her surviving the convention.
Well, Frank, you bring up this point about there's something going on. There's the power struggle. Well, Rachel Maddow over at MSNBC land, she actually came out and said basically that now that everything's changed with Biden dropping out, basically, and then basically saying that the Democrat Party has now instantly ended its internal war. I heard that. I thought, what are you talking about? It's just starting. The war's just starting.
Well, that's why they call her Rachel Mad Cow. She's got the disease. She's out of her mind. This is a Democrat Party in complete chaos. You've got, like I said, you've got this. It's not an internal power struggle. It's an overt power struggle at the top. And
right.
The fact that Biden has decided that he won't seek the nomination doesn't mean he still doesn't want to have influence at the convention. So not only do you have the Obama contingent and the Clinton contingent, you've got the Biden contingent. You've got a triangulated power rift right here. And this is for the the heart and soul and the future of the Democrat Party? Does it go radical left, full-blown Marxist overtly under an Obama regime? Does it go mildly cloaked Marxism with Clinton? Or does it go in a bizarre direction that nobody knows what's going to happen? Grifter, I guess, a grifter avenue with Biden influence. This is really, if you're a political person, this is really exciting to watch. But the message that it does send, not only to the country and the world, is that the Democrat Party, has got a problem with the truth. And they're not trying to hide it anymore. They're willing to lie to their own rank and file, lie to the country, use deception just to maintain power, willing to disenfranchise their own voters to be able to maintain power. And to the world, I mean, the world's going to be saying, this is the party that's in control right now of the government for at least the next 4 months.
Wait, see, I was just going to ask what you thought about what not only our friends, but our foes must be looking in and saying, this is destabilizing. We don't know who to talk to, who to trust. We don't know where this is going to, pan out here. The next 6 months would be incredibly dangerous, I'm afraid to say.
Well, I haven't checked the nuclear clock lately, but the last time I looked at it, it was 45 seconds to midnight, which is not a good place to be. That's the closest it's been since after the Second World War. When you've got countries like China and Russia already emboldened, they're seeing, well, it looks like Trump's going to win. It looks like he's going to win easily. So anything that we need to get done before we see these sanctions and a more robust U.S. military come back onto the stage, we've got to get it done within the next 4 months. If I'm Taiwan, I'm not sleeping well at night.
No kidding. Well, what do you think about this really what amounts to, and I think is the proper term, a cover-up about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Now she's enjoying this newfound, attention and so forth because it's likely she could be the nominee with this endorsement, but time will tell. But she's the person who was very close to Biden on a regular basis. She would have known for sure the cognitive decline. I mean, how does that hurt her at all in the coming campaign if she's the nominee?
Well, unless, of course, the Biden puppeteers, which is Obama 2.0, the Anita Dunns and the Susan Powers and the people like that in the inner circle at the White House boxed her out of everything, which isn't uncommon. They boxed Joe Biden out of almost everything when Obama was president. So she may have been ignorant to a lot of the things because she was just completely unqualified to be in the room.
And that's terrible, too. I mean, what's worse? Saying, I covered up the Joe Biden thing because I didn't want to say anything, or nobody let me around the actual power and decision-making. I mean, both are pretty bad.
Well, yeah, and it says that there's a Democrat Party that does, and this is why this has to be the only question going forward in this election. Are you willing to vote someone in the office from a party that has lied to you bald-faced? It doesn't matter who the candidate is. The hierarchy and the puppet masters behind the Democrat Party, behind the Biden administration, and behind the DNC have deceived Democrat voters. And they have deceived American voters. And they've done it overtly, not even trying to hide it. Right now, they're shrugging their shoulders. Yeah, it turns out everybody was worried about him being mentally incompetent or correct. But hey, it doesn't matter. Trump is bad.
Right, yeah, Trump is bad and going to steal our democracy. But do you think that their go-to, policy issue, do you think that they can fix this by trying to make abortion front and center? I mean, that's going to be one of the main things in a Kamala Harris campaign.
They're going to try, but I don't think they're going to overcome the overarching issue, which is their dishonesty. And if Republicans are smart, they will be ramming that message home. Not only will they be ramming that message home in everything they do. You want to vote for a liar? You're going to vote for people who lie? And just list them. list every lie they've said. Hey, the inflation is transitory. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. I mean, there's enough. There's enough there. Afghanistan was a great success when we left. Go ahead and remind people exactly what they lied to everybody about, and keep on it. It's a Alinsky rule. Don't let up. Keep the pressure on. So it's nice to be on the offensive for a change if you're a Republican, but they've got to follow the rules that work. Keep the pressure on. Don't let people forget that the Democrats lied to them.
Do you feel like taking a couple of telephone calls this morning?
You bet.
All right. First up here, we've got Mary in St. Pete giving us a call this morning. Good morning, Mary. You're on to Frank Silvato.
Hey, good morning. First of all, I wanted to say I saw a dog food commercial last night that is saying that the farmers are all globalists now and getting into this new kind of grain. Sounds like a globalist kind of like way to grow crops, which we all know is genetically modified or bioengineered food. So they're attacking that, and they're putting it right up there on the screen for everybody to know. And unless you know what they're talking about, you're missing the scam on that one. And the other thing is, I know the outrage. I don't see so much outrage about the assassination attack on President Trump, but I'm also not seeing any outrage about the COVID situation. And it's almost like people forgot about it. Mm-hmm. And that's not one you need to forget about. So instead of looking at hypotheticals all day on what could happen with Harris and all of that kind of stuff, it seems like the important stuff is just being missed. And I wish it was talked about a lot more. But thank you.
All right. Hey, thank you, Mary. Mary in St. Pete, everybody. Yeah, what do you think, Frank? Are we missing something here?
Well, the left has turned the page on COVID. That's why you're not hearing about COVID. And they had needed to turn the page because everything that they were telling you was a lie. I'm going back to the lie thing. Sure, you want to stay on important stuff? That's an important thing. Yep. Was the Trump assassination attempt important? Yes, but it is still in the media. We've got to focus on the fact that you've got a political party that is still in the seat of power that has no problem being dishonest with you. That needs to be issue one. If we let that slide, then we're doing what Republicans always do, and that's snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Yeah. We've got to hammer this home and remind everybody about what was said. Now, COVID's part of that. They lied to us about that. We shut down a world economy when we didn't have to. We could have just made sure that we were taking care of the vulnerable and allowing the youthful to create the herd immunity that ended up winning the day. That's a huge lie that affected everybody and destroyed 401ks and everything else. But the overarching thing going into this election is making sure we don't let it slip through our fingers. Because if you think the left is just going, well, I guess we're so dysfunctional, it's just time to give up. Well, then you're part of the problem.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to do that. And this is why, I think we're going to see, even with Obama not making that endorsement is pretty important in terms of where they think they're really going to go with all this. But I'll tell you what, let's head over to the phone lines again. We got Fred in St. Pete. Fred, you're on with Frank Silvato from undergroundusa.com.
Oh, good morning. This is Fred number 2 now.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that was weird. So on the Obama thing, not one Kamala, I think I know why. He won't be able to control her because she's going to get a power trip. She's just stupid enough not to listen to anybody and go hog wild being president. Nobody's going to be able to control her. So Obama wants somebody he can control or the powers to be. And I think it'll probably be Tim Walz or Gavin, one of those two guys, because I guarantee you Walz probably has a lot of stuff in his closet that they can get him on. So he'll be easy to control. And another thing, on the Secret Service thing, you notice, why wouldn't the Secret Service hire people when they're supposed to protect somebody that's like 6 foot tall? It's tall people that can actually cover the guy. Did you see that?
Only common sense. I don't know where you're coming from, but it's only common sense. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That one picture of that girl hugging him like that. You could tell she was posing. I hate to say that. I'm sure she's a fine person, but she was there late. It looked bad. And I can't wait to hear these hearings with this girl. So anyway, I guess that's it.
Thank you so much, Brett and St. Pete, everybody. And Frank, it is kind of weird. Usually you want to have to be able to cover the protectee as well as possible.
Well, this is a DEI hire. A Cheadle tantamount that came out and said it. She wants to make sure that females are 30% of the Secret Service by the end of her term. That's not putting the correct person in the position. That's maintaining a quota or establishing a quota. So this wasn't about using common sense and meritocracy. This was about gender, race, and all of the other things that have nothing to do with actually achieving the goal of protecting the protectant.
Yeah.
So that will come out, and that's going to be another battle because Republicans have to take it to DEI viciously from now until it's dead, because we must get back to meritocracy. That's not going to be easy either, because the deep state and the bureaucracy had so many people from the left embedded into it that they will be running interference to keep all of these initiatives alive, even if it's on life support, until they can get the next leftist in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Clintons started this mid-level appointments to run interference, whether it's for a political candidacy or a political issue or an ideological issue. Got to have people in there who can do that. That's the rule book right now. As far as Obama not being able to handle Harris, Harris has got some baggage too. Just ask Willie Brown. If you like the podcast, please rate it and comment if your platform lets you. Go over to undergroundusa.com and subscribe to the Substack, and pick up your copy of Nullification, available on Amazon. But more importantly, talk to your friends, family, colleagues, and acquaintances about politics and religion. Do it calmly and employ facts over emotion. You'll be surprised how much you have in common with a great many of those you talk to. It's something we can all do to preserve the Republic. My name is Frank Salvato, and you're listening to Underground USA.
When someone is having a stroke, every minute counts. Just as putting out a fire quickly can stop it from spreading, treating a stroke quickly can reduce damage to the brain. The clock begins ticking as soon as you spot the signs of a stroke, because some treatments can only be used if the patient reaches the hospital in the first 3 hours after symptoms appear. So don't wait. Call 911 right away and get the person to a hospital immediately, even if the symptoms go away. If you think someone is having a stroke, remember the word FAST. F is for face. Ask the person to smile and check whether one side of their face is drooping. A is for arms. Have the person raise both arms and see if one arm drifts downwards. S is for speech. Ask the person to repeat a short phrase and notice if their words sound slurred. And finally, T is for time. If you spot any of these signs, call 911 right away to get the person to a hospital fast. Strokes are medical emergencies. The sooner a patient gets treatment, the better their chance of a good recovery.